What is up, everybody? It's me, Duke Farley, back at it again here on Lost at Sea. And I am unfortunately talking to the fourth person eliminated from Ascendance Live Season 4. I'm talking to Matt. Hashtag the husbands, one part of it, gone too soon. Matt, how are you? How have things been since, the show and everything?
It's been good. It's been good. Sad to leave so early, but life is good. Jim's gonna go see a concert tonight, one of his favorite bands. I got cast in a show. Kids are back in school, so that takes up a big part of our lives. So back to reality after Ascendance Live.
Back to reality after the other reality TV show that you were a part of. What is Jim going to see tonight? It was a concert that I would know.
The Nationals?
I know them as a baseball team, but not as a music group.
Yeah, I'm not really cool when it comes to like pop culture. So maybe they're popular, maybe they're not. I don't know.
Well, I hope he enjoys it. Matt, let's talk a little bit about, your journey here in Ascendance Live Season 4. Um, I wanted to start off with how did you find this? How did you find, Ascendance Live? Where did we get you from?
Well, so I used to belong to like an org community, an online community, and some of the people that I just stayed in touch with through social media eventually got into the LRG community. So this community was like 10, 15 years ago. It still exists, but I was early on. So I saw that they were in these LRGs. So I kind of joined the community, one of those big Facebook groups, and was watching for a while, and then applied to some shows that I thought had great production value, and Ascendance was one of them. So that's kind of how I found Ascendance.
When, throughout your journey here in Ascendance Live 4, you reference, having watched the past players. So I assume that you had watched a majority, if not all of the episodes prior to going into it. Before we touch on the individual players, I wanted to ask you, was it what you thought like when you got there versus what you've seen?
Yes and no. Like I could handle like all the, we're 20 strangers like going to vote each other out, even though we're making these relationships. I think what was different for me was the constant and changing dynamics and the position of power, or what I think lack of power that captains actually have. I thought being captain, I would have like all this power, and it really wasn't as much power as I thought. And then the changing dynamics constantly was a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely a different format than seasons past, obviously with the duo twist. But you and Jim, right off the bat, get the first captain. You guys are voted on in the blind vote. That's, an Ascendance staple. How pumped were you for that? Were you like, wow, I don't even know any of these people?
I was not expecting it, to be honest. I will say I feel just naturally that we have a certain charm, magnetism that we bring. Just like preseason, I think we were the most watched duo interview and stuff. So I think we have like a natural attraction. However, I don't think that's what earned us the first captain. What wasn't shown is that right when we broke out for the carnival games, I approached the two other full newbie teams, Chris G and Alex, and then Stacy and Blaker right away. There's like, hey, the six of us need to work together, because when I saw how many vet duos were in there, uh, in my mind, I was like, oh man, this is like an all stars. Well, I don't want to give these vets too much credit. Second chance season, but also they're in a duo, so there's like a second layer of protection there. So I was on red alert right away. So if you look back, like the four votes we got were from those four newbie duos, and then Chris Yu, who thought it was going to be a negative thing, that voted for us.
Yeah, good old Chris Yu. Um, Matt, the another big question I had was you guys had won the captain the first round, and then there was kind of differing confessionals between yourself and Jim on whether you guys wanted to go for the second one. Um, looking back at the episode that you guys won that second one, what was that shocking to you, or did you feel that from Jim as well, like he didn't want to win?
I could feel that he didn't want to win it, you know, or not. It was an option for him. For me, it was not an option. And looking back, like we just kind of gravitated naturally towards other people, I think, which could have benefited us. But I'm kind of headstrong. So like even though I knew people were gonna go one way, I was like, hell no, that doesn't benefit my game. I'm going this way. And that's like what I feel like even politics. Like I'm not gonna be like, okay, let's just get picked off like sheep. I'm like, no, there's a problem here, and I gotta at least try to do something. Um, yeah, I can talk
Yeah.
more on that, but yeah.
Let's talk about the first vote. Let's talk about there seems to be a pattern of you wanting to get out some big players, some big returners. You try to go after Billy, then the next round you try to go after, I believe, Adam. Um, we I've been talking about this on the recaps throughout the past couple of weeks. Nobody's really going after these, season 3, season 2, whatever returnees. Were you surprised that there was no traction when you were trying to go for them? And then once you kind of have seen these episodes, how people are not on board with that, does that surprise you as well?
Am I surprised? No. Am I disappointed? A little bit, but also I get the human nature of it. Again, each veteran, there's 7 of them, right? That's like a third of the cast, came in with a partner, which is like another third of the cast. And all the vets have like this redemption story they're trying to get. So it's mutually beneficial for them to kind of like clump together to at least get further in the game. And then their duos also benefit from that. So they're all kind of like clumped together. I know it floods a lot here in Texas. And if you ever see a flood in fire ants, there's like a mound of them. And they all bound together, and there's the dead ones on the bottom and the ones on top. So that's like what's going on, I think. So I get it and it makes sense. But when I couldn't get the Billy vote to go, and I had a conversation with Josh and he was defending Billy, I was like, oh, well, I I know how this is gonna go.
Um, Once you place these votes for Billy, for Adam, what was like we don't really see what afterwards. Do you just say, yeah, that was me, or do you kind of like just move on and not say anything to them, to those people?
Sure. For me, I will lie until I can't anymore. And so for me, it was more beneficial to go up to Billy and be like, hey, this is what happened, because that Adam vote got thrown, and people are saying that it was probably, me or Jim, probably me. um I decided to come clean, and my plan was to put it all on Blaker. Like, I'm new, I don't know what's going on. Blaker was trying to make me play his game, and just, I mean, I love Blaker, but I was trying to save myself, and he was already out, so there'd be like little blood on my hands. So I thought it was best to come clean and be like, I'm sorry, I messed up, let's work together.
Was it the same with Adam?
No, well, no, it was different with Adam. Did I want Adam out? No. I know the vote was going to be Alex, but just like Taisha and Christopher, my thought was, I'm trying to create a crack in season 3. I thought the first crack was going to be the Billy Josh fight, and I could get Billy out that way. That didn't work. So I thought, well, Adam already had that vote and kind of was like, woo. I thought, well, if I could get him to like spin out of control, maybe that's another crack in season 3 I can make. So it wasn't advantageous for me to vote out Alex. He wasn't a threat to my game. So I thought if I could make Adam spin out of control, I might have a path forward.
Yeah. Um, okay, so we get into, this kind of whirlwind of things that are happening during the night where, you're going to be up for elimination. There's the video playing, there's the power, the box, the mysterious box. Um, Run me through it from your side. Let me hear, your perspective of you walk into a room, right, with Michael and an empty box of marbles. What's going on?
If we were all in and out of that room, I mean, I was kind of excited because I felt like I had found it first, right? Even though now we see that Josh and Aaron found it, like people were like doing the video stuff, and I was like, Jim, I can't just sit here. Like there has to be a power somewhere. We need to go explore. So I go into the pool room and it was dark, and I was like, why are the doors open? So I find the box and I get Jim and like, but then everyone finds it. There's the video, there's the vote. I felt kind of chaotic, right, in my mind, and I didn't know what to do. I was scared because I knew I was probably going to be up for elimination or be eliminated. So for me, the video wasn't that important because I had to at least make it to the next round. So I didn't want to spend my time there. Um, Walking in and seeing Michael, I did not believe him at all. I was like looking under the rugs, pillows, and stuff. I was like, he's hidden it somewhere here. I told some of the other players, like, guys, he hid it in here. We need to search this place, turn it upside down.
Were people like on board with it? Like, were people like, yeah, that's true?
I think they were open to it. Like, I was really suspicious of Michael. Other people kind of seemed like, but for me, knowing that I was probably up for elimination, I thought I was handed like a golden opportunity. Here is an opportunity to throw suspicion on somebody else, and they might take him out because they think he has a pendant.
Seemed like the right play. Matt, the fight. I guess this was the next morning, or yeah, the next morning of the vote. You did the strategy of, kind of walk away for a little bit, go downstairs, and then is that because you wanted to make it more public, make more people around so you could kind of have more eyes on what you were going to be fighting about with Michael?
Definitely. The fact that Christopher came in and talked to me and said Michael was saying my name or whatever he said, I was like, bam, it's game time. And Jim's like, Matt, I don't know. I was like, dude, I got this. This is what I need. I need to stir the pot to make something happen. Like, I'm already out the door. This is my chance. So yeah, I felt bad because it was kind of like a spider to the fly, like, yes, come follow me, Michael. And then bam, yeah, gotcha here in front of everybody. Um, I was trying to play the victim a little bit of like, oh, everyone's trying to throw suspicion on me and make me a target. And I'm just new. I don't know what's going on. Right. But if I could make everyone either catch him in a lie or make people think he had the pendant, then I had a chance out. So I needed to stir the pot. And then I decided to go to bed, which I don't know if that was the right play. But my thought was stir the pot, let things boil over. I need to get some sleep and collect my thoughts for how I'm going to handle this in the morning.
Yeah. And then you in the morning decide to kind of go to each individual duo and pitch a case. Run me through, like, it's kind of tough because there's 10 people, only 4 eligible to be voted. It's you versus Michael basically on your side. Run me through like how that was trying to pitch yourself to the individual people against Michael and like kind of navigate who's actually voting at your thing.
Sure. So my thought was that I needed to talk to each duo. To me, it didn't matter who was voting. I mean, it matters, but I didn't want to be seen totally strategic where I'm only talking to the players who are voting in my elimination. I did want to say to each duo that to really pitch my case about the threat versus a target. Like, am I a threat to your game or am I just a target right now? And then, if I was going to really make a connection with them, is like, thank you, because I like everyone in the cast and had a good time getting to know them. But also thought that, like, even if there's one person that duo voting for me, that other person and their duo might influence their vote. So I was really trying to rely on those connections to hopefully stay.
So vote's pretty close, right? it gets down to it. Were you surprised that it was that close, or is that something that you anticipated?
I was surprised, and I, in my head, when it got to like 5-4, I was like, oh my gosh, this could be a tie. And then I could be like, Michael has a pendant. We have to take him out now. And I was secretly hoping it was gonna be 6-4 the other way, that they'd be more scared of his possible pendant than me. But
Yeah. They were not. It was kind of the opposite. And so, we're filming this post episode 6. Something that's been happening in something that happened in episode 6 was Jim and Michael are eligible to be voted in the next round, but Jim said that Michael was speaking over you during your exit speech. Is that true? I don't recall that happening, but let me hear it from your perspective.
sure. So I pitched my case that, like, I know I'm probably not going to make it to the end, but like, hey, I could be a jury vote for you. And Michael just kind of threw something in there at the end, like, yeah, he'll just keep winning competitions.
Okay.
I didn't want to
Oh,
get into it. I thought, like, to me, that's a sign of weakness, that he was scared to like throw that in. I was just like, okay, we'll let that percolate. Um, but yeah, Jim is pretty protective of me and thought that was kind of rude.
okay. So it wasn't the exit speech, it was like the last pitch effort. He kind of like threw a comment out at the end. Because I do recall that. I didn't recall like what he said. I
Yeah.
don't think we heard it. Um, yeah. So Matt, going through this, looking back through the episodes and seeing everything play out how it did, is there anything you would have done differently?
It's hard to say, because I will say I feel like just what I call the sphere or egg of influence was
We'll put a
kind of,
diagram here.
yes, we'll put the diagram up. So the egg of influence, Jim and I were already on the outside because we were a newbie duo who have never played any org or LRGs with anybody, right? We were
Yeah.
a pure newbie duo. So if you think about it, I think if we had not won the first captain's challenge, there's a good chance one of us would have been out first, right? So like the inside, that the girls alliance and the veterans alliance, like those kind of make up the core, I think, of what's controlling the house, the way things go. Outside of that, you have like people who are not vets or girls, like Eric, Chris, you, and Eli, who are like associated with a vet. And then kind of on more on the outside is Stacy. She's kind of in the girls alliance. Blaker's kind of connected to her. You have Alex and Chris G, who are on the outside more than, and then we're all the way on the outside. So if you look at it, like if you think about that first vote where Blaker went, like Jim and I weren't eligible, Alex and Chris G weren't eligible. He was the next level of that. The next vote, Alex goes. Jim and I aren't eligible. Chris G isn't eligible. Alex is on that outer ring. You think about the next vote. I'm eligible, right? I go. On the other vote, the two names that are thrown out, Eric and Chris, you are eligible, and they're on the outermost ring of influence,
Yeah.
right? With you goes. So going into episode 5, I don't know how the dynamics will change now that Chris G is kind of partnered with Stacy, if that helps, because he's in the girl alliance or with a girl. Jim being partnered with Christopher, maybe that helps him because he's like attached to a veteran. I don't know. So the whole discussion of the husbands being a threat, whenever someone says you're a threat, I say, to whom? We were threats to the girls and the veterans because we weren't one of them. Yeah. So it's hard to say. I think hypothetically we would have gone first if we had not won a captain's challenge. So for me, I'd rather play from a position of power and be safe and have a chance to make some bonds and deal with the fallout later than just be picked off first and not even have a game.
What, if anything, knowing that like these veterans are sticking together, potentially the girls are sticking together, is there anything that you could have done to rally the troops, to go against one of these people? You try to get Billy, and votes on Adam, but to no prevail. Was there anything else that you think you could have done to convince people to go this way?
I don't think so. And if I had stayed, I think my game would have switched dramatically. Something we don't see is in the episode 4 and 5. I I'm kind of the mind like if I can't beat them, join them. So I actually decide that I'm going to work with season 3 coalition, right? So in the balloon game or whatever, I tell the pink and gray duo we have a truce. Like I'm not going to try to put balloons on you. And even like in episode 1, my thought was if I could get out Billy, no, I like him as a person, but just in the game, if I could get him out, I would be happy to take his place in that kind of season 3 alliance for a while. Um, yeah, so that would be the only kind of different thing is if I could I think I liked season 3 as players, those 3 guys and their partners. I probably the only other choice I had would have been to join them instead of go against them, but I don't know if that would have been beneficial for me anyways.
Yeah. Were you shocked at, having seen how things went down in season 3 that these guys weren't going at each other's throats right from the get-go?
I was a little surprised that I couldn't get more traction between Josh and Billy trying to stir that up. But I also understand, again, you come back into this game and you don't want to take the shots right away. It's kind of like, hey, we're cool, right? And we're just going to be cool for a while until jury happens, and then so I get it. I get it. Human nature. Stay with what's familiar.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how that plays out for these people. But
Me too. I want these season 3 girls to just snipe all these guys, especially the season 3 guys. Like I think, well, at
yeah,
this point in the game, I think the game is Erica and Taisha's to lose, just how they're positioned. But I would put my money on Erin. I called her the Black Widow. I saw her just like head of the Girls Alliance, and she's well positioned in season 3. And I was like, oh, you all don't know what is coming your way.
yes, we will see. But Matt, is there anything else that maybe the episodes didn't show that you wanted to talk about at all? Yeah.
Um, I don't know how much this is shown, but I really felt like Jim had some connections with people that maybe made me not take certain actions. Jim, from what Jim shared with me, he was felt pretty close to Chris G, and Christopher, and I feel like he had more conversations with Aaron than I knew what he had, and so particularly in this vote where I got voted out, where I thought early on, could I go for Stacy? Could I go for Christopher? Jim was like, don't go for Christopher. We're good with him. He's good. And then Stacy, I just maybe could have done it, but I didn't see it being beneficial to my game. I so it just kind of ended up being Michael, especially since he had my name in his mouth.
Yeah, he did. Oh, he did. Um, Matt, is it my last question is, what was your favorite part of the entire experience? Could have been the game itself, could have been something afterwards, the shenanigans. I don't
Um, Something I've really enjoyed is the group chat that we have going on for our season. That's
know.
been
Nice.
pretty fun and dynamic. People making fun of themselves and each other, but also being supportive. That's been really great. I've been enjoying seeing Blaker's edits. I don't know if you've seen
Oh
those.
yeah.
Those are
Yeah, I've
things.
seen I've seen him on fit. Yep.
Yeah. But on the whole, like it's been really good. It was a cool, like I went in wanting to have this new experience with Jim, and that was really cool. And I think probably in game, my favorite experience was that overnight into the episode. Like that's where like my back was really against the wall and I felt like I was really playing the game. And that was
And you almost came out with it. It was pretty close. But a couple votes here, a couple votes there. Matt, such a great time talking and catching up with you. I appreciate, you taking the time to do the exit interview, and hopefully the other half of the hashtag the husbands goes deep into this game.
that's right. The husband's gonna all the way. I'll be the like the first man when he I'll be on his
Yes.